Good evening, everybody. I am back from performance number 3 of A Tincture of Time with a reading progress video. So to begin, I am going to talk about the books that I recently finished that I returned to the library. The first book is called How to Be Ace, which is a graphic memoir about a teenage girl who came out as asexual. I gave that 4.5 stars. The next book is called Rebel Witch, which is the sequel to Heartless Hunter, which I gave 4.5 stars to. The next book is I Am Made of Death, which is Kelly Andrews' new release from March 14th, which I gave 4.5 stars to. Kelly Andrews' other two books are The Whispering Dark, which I gave 4.5 stars to, and Your Blood, My Bones, which I gave 2.5 stars to. The next book I recently read is The Thursday Murder Club, which I gave 4.5 stars to. The next book is The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nevo, which was a reread for Pride Month, 4.5 stars. The Days at the Murasaki Bookshop, which is a Japanese translated book, 4.75 stars, so that's pretty close to 5. The next book was The Charm Offensive, which was a reread for Pride Month. This book is by Alison Conklin, and it is a male-male romance that is set on the set of a reality show that is similar to The Bachelor. The next book I recently finished that I returned to the library was The Last One at the Wedding by Jason Rekulak. This is by the same author as Hidden Pictures, and both of those books got 4.5 stars, and I would highly recommend these books if you're reading for a good summer thriller to read. The next book that I returned to the library is the comic book of Steven Universe. This is the comic book that the cartoon show on Cartoon Network is based on. I have not seen the cartoon, but I have heard really good things about it, so if people know where I can watch it, please leave that in the comments below. The next book is Just by Looking at Him, which is a book about a person who falls in love with a celebrity, and there's a lot of trigger warnings for this book for ableism and alcohol abuse. So this is about a character with cerebral palsy who falls in love with a celebrity, and it kind of made me think of my crush on Matthew Perry a little bit. The next book is called What's the Tea? This is by the same author as Her Majesty's Royal Coven, and this is basically a resource book about transgenders and stuff like that, and it was very informative. The next book is The Love Lyric. This is the latest release by Christina Forrest, the same author as A Neighbor Favor, that came out last fall, and I gave it 4 stars. Okay, and now for more current reads. The first book I wanted to mention is Concerning My Daughter. I believe that Carrie can read and Jack Edwards have both read this book, and I heard good things about it from them. So far, I am on page 96. The next book is a reread for Pride Month. It is called Iris Kelly Doesn't Date by Ashley Herring Blake, and I read this for the first time last year at around this time, and I gave it 4.5 stars because it is set during a theater performance of the Shakespeare play As You Like It, and the main character who is in the theater group, her name is Stevie. She has anxiety. The next book is called The Villa by Rachel Hawkins. Somebody on Bookstagram recommended this to me. I cannot remember who it is. I think it might have been Haley Pham, but I don't quite remember. But this is my first book by this author, and I really like it. I am on Page 153. The next book I'm reading is the sequel to Freaky Friday, which is called Freaky Monday. This book is by Mary Rogers and Heather Hatch. Mary Rogers is known for writing the book's music and lyrics to the musical Once Upon a Mattress. I gave Freaky Friday 3.5 stars. I think this book will get the same rating. Currently, I am on page 104. Oh no. The next book I'm reading is Allie Hazelwood's recent release, Problematic Summer Romance. I am almost done with this and should finish it tomorrow. I am really enjoying it, and after how disappointing her release from February, Deep End, was, I'm really happy I'm enjoying this one. It has renewed my faith in Allie Hazelwood's books. Oh, and let me just say, Bookstagram is not exactly my favorite place right now, because I had heard something recently that people were harassing Allie Hazelwood because of her viewpoints on the new Hunger Games book, and that is so not cool. She deleted her social media because of that, and I feel really bad for her because she doesn't deserve to be treated like that, because she's just sharing her opinion of the book like the rest of us are. So I stand behind you, Allie. I have not read Sunrise on the Reaping yet, but I'm looking forward to reading it very soon. The next book is called The Little Beach Street Bakery. This is by the same author as the bookshop on the corner, which I read last year. She has, most of her books are set in Scotland. And this book is nice and summery because it's set on the beach, probably on the boardwalk of a beach at a bakery. The next book I'm reading is called Remarkably Bright Creatures. This is a reread for me. The first time I read this was in 2023, and it was number 9 on my top 23 books of 2023 list. So I'm excited to be reading it again. The next book that I read that I finished is called One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. I will be reviewing this book in a separate standalone video, which will be out very soon. So stay tuned for that. The next book that I'm reading is called Passenger Princess by Morgan Elizabeth. This is my first book by Morgan Elizabeth, and I can't wait to read more books by her. I am currently on page 137, chapter 25. This book was recommended to me through a list I found on Instagram of books that describe TV show couples, and this was in the list for Luke and Lorelai, and I think it is very well selected. The next to last book that I'm currently I have two more. The next book that I'm currently reading is Mark Hoppus's memoir Fahrenheit 182. This is by the lead singer of the punk rock band Blink 182, and I was a big fan of this band in high school. If you're wondering what my favorite song by them is, I would probably have to say All the Small Things. The next book that I'm reading, I actually haven't started yet, but I am getting a head start on my Disability Pride Month TBR by reading this book. It is called Love Letters for Joy, and I found this book on a recommendations list on Instagram that I found that has books with disabled characters in it, and the main character in this book has cerebral palsy, like I do. So I can't wait to see what this book is about. The final book that I picked up at the library today is the Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. This is by the same author as Hamnet. So I'm really excited to read another book by this author because I gave Hamnet 4.5 stars. Thank you for tuning into this video. I hope everybody has a nice weekend.